welcome to Neepawa and viewers, as well as our viewers from all across Canada. This is NACTV Reads the News. My name is Catherine Jasnick, and today I am reading the Neepawa banner dated January the 13th. And extra special, we're reading from proofs today because of the blizzard. We don't have the actual paper in yet, so you're getting it hot off the press. Neepawa's new online presence, and we have a photo showing the Director of Finance and Utilities, Dallas Robertson, and Economic Development Officer, Marilyn Crew, showing off the revamped www.neepawa.ca website, which launched at the start of the year. The improved website was a collaborative effort between the town and Citrix Research, a Saskatchewan-based company. A project that has been a year in the making has made its debut as the town of Neepawa has launched its newly designed website. The revised, more user-friendly site replaced the previous one, which had been in use for the past decade. The new www.neepawa.ca was created through a collaborative effort between the town and Citrix Research, a Saskatchewan-based company focused on online marketing and website development. Neepawa's Economic Development Officer, Marilyn Crew, said that of the 16 companies who bid on the project, Citrix presented the town with the best and most comprehensive vision. One of the reasons that we chose to work with Citrix was because they included market research in the development phase. They developed various templates for the website and sent them out to people to test the usage. So there was no guesswork as to whether a layout was correct. We knew from the research what people liked, what worked, and what was seamlessly accessible. Director of Finance and Utilities, Dallas Robertson, said that one of the first things many people will likely notice about the new site is that it's much more mobile-friendly. Crew said that was a conscious choice by the town because research indicates that more and more people do the majority of their browsing online through their phones or tablets as opposed to their laptop. We felt that it was important to make the site more compatible with mobile users. More and more people get their information from their phones or tablets, so adapting the website to be more in line with those pieces of technology was a priority. Those who go to the site on their home computers still have all the options as before and more, but now mobile users have that same access, stressed Robertson. The new site is also more user-friendly. The old version of the site was great in its day, but it was slow loading, it was not user-friendly, and it was not easy for us to update. There were a lot of limitations to it, so we wanted something that we could manage in-house. We needed to clean the content up. It needed a whole new overhaul to be modern. Crew added that the early response to the change has been exactly what they'd been hoping for. There has already been positive feedback on the site. People who were looking for updates on the garbage recently, for example, and noted, oh, by the way, great website. So there has been positive feedback already. Plus, Citrix already has some data on the usage and the number of people checking it out on mobile devices, and that has increased already. The breakout is almost 50-50 between home computers and mobile devices right now, and those numbers were not nearly as comparable with the previous version. These little things can help put Neepawa a step ahead when it comes to sharing information with not only residents of Neepawa, but also visitors to our community. And it is a great website. I encourage everybody to take a look at it. Neepawa's new fire truck is ready to go, and there's a photo of the new 2016 International Pumper Truck, and that has increased the Neepawa Fire Department's number of vehicles to 5. The cost of the new truck was $399,895. A new vehicle has been added to the Neepawa Fire Department's fleet, the 2016 International Pumper Truck, which was ordered from Fort Garry Fire Trucks of Winnipeg, arrived just before the end of the year. The price tag for the new truck was $399,895 before taxes. This purchase increases the fire department's service vehicles to 5, 4 full-size fire trucks of various capacity, and a 1-ton truck. Fire Chief Scott Gibson noted that this is now the largest truck at their disposal, as it has a 1,200-gallon water capacity. Gibson also noted that since the truck arrived back in December, he and the other members of the fire department have been very busy getting all the equipment on board and all training completed so the truck can go into service as quickly as possible. And another item, a fatal train accident in Arden. A 68-year-old Arden man has died after his truck slid into a train. RCMP said the crash happened about 8:30 p.m. on Sunday, January the 8th, at the Boughton Tracks in Arden. The investigation indicated that the eastbound truck was traveling at a low rate of speed when it approached an uncontrolled railway crossing. RCMP said the driver attempted to stop, but conditions were icy and the truck was hit by a northbound train. Alcohol is not considered a factor in the wreck. RCMP are continuing to investigate the crash. New FM station. AM station 880 CKLQ in Brandon has received approval from the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, CRTC, to shift to FM. In a press release, Dave Baxter, President and CEO of Westman Communications Group, which owns 880 CKLQ, said that this decision is not expected to impact rural listeners, as the AM signal, which has larger listening radius to FM, will continue to broadcast. The exact date of the turning up of the FM signal is still being determined. And New Year's baby. Neepawa's New Year's baby has arrived. The child was born earlier this week, and the family has requested that no details be released publicly. The Neepawa banner offers its best wishes to the family on this happy occasion. And we have a photo of RCMP officers, and they have some advice to seniors. RCMP Constables Andrew Cowan and Kofi Ilbudu visited the Seniors Meal Program in Neepawa on Friday, January the 6th. The officers spoke to the assembled seniors on being watchful of potential scams that may target them and their personal safety. And a new but local face at NACTV. There's been plenty of changes over the last few years at Neepawa's community access television station, known as NACTV. The station, which has been broadcasting locally, produced media since 1977, recently went through a huge shift in its annual general meeting on November 1st of last year, where CEO and General Manager Ivan Trail stepped down, announcing that the Board of Directors and the Neepawa banner had entered into a 3-year management agreement contract. The station's mandate did not change, nor did its not-for-profit status. 2017 is bringing more changes to the beloved television station, which broadcasts on Channel 12, MTS Channel 30, and Bell Express View Channel 592. Nikki Miker, who was brought up in Neepawa but has been away for several years, has come home and has taken on the position of office manager at NACTV. Miker graduated high school in Neepawa in 2003 and went on to university, where she initially studied sciences but switched to a fine arts degree. She graduated in 2013 and moved to Cold Lake, Alberta, where she worked for Janvier Art Gallery for 2 years. But she's not just interested in fine arts. Miker was a volunteer firefighter in another place she lived, Humboldt, Saskatchewan. I really liked it, Micah noted. The guys there were very welcoming. They always helped you. The train was actually quite interesting and very demanding as well. Micah decided to move back to Neepawa to be closer to her family and the place she felt was home, moving back earlier this month. She says being back in Neepawa and taking the role of office manager at NACTV is helping her to grow and learn. It allows me to work on communication skills as well as with the tech aspect. It allows me to understand a little bit more of that as well. Micah says she enjoys the more independent nature of the job and is excited to see how she, as part of a team of employees, volunteers, and board members, can contribute to NACTV's future in the community. I think everybody is excited, she stated enthusiastically. We're always open to the opportunity of how we can benefit ourselves as well. I think it's great to come into a team that is very goal-oriented like that. And we have a picture of Nikki there in front of a very old heritage barn, so it's kind of neat. And Minnedosa Lions Club is presenting At the Hop. It's Manitoba's #1 50s and 60s party band. You'll hear all your favorite 50s and 60s songs from Buddy Holly, Bobby Darin, Connie Francis, Johnny Cash, the Crystals, the Beach Boys, Chubby Checker, and, of course, Elvis. Featuring the singing talents of Adam T. Elvis and Marsha Lynn, backed by the Good Rockin' Tonight band. It will play at Minnedosa Community Conference Center on Saturday, January 28th at 7 p.m., and tickets are $25. Sounds like a good thing to go to. And Ken Waddell, the owner of Neepawa Banner, his column. And today it's titled, "Oh Dear, What Can the Matter Be?" White-tailed deer have been moving further and further into Neepawa. Many towns have the same issue. Seems life is easier in town. The cute little Bambis have always been on the edge of town. They have always wandered through the outer layers of streets, happily munching their way through the cedar shrubs and nipping off whatever plants suit their palate. With the deep early snow this year, the deer are hungry and moving further into town. There was even one on the Safeway parking lot last week. They are causing thousands of dollars damage to trees, shrubs, and plants. There has been a report or two about deer being taken down, killed brutally actually, by coyotes. The south and western parts of Neepawa have long been home to a group of coyotes. You can hear them yipping and howling quite often, and right in the town. While following the deer, the coyotes may well decide that small dogs or wandering cats might make a good meal too. The worst scenario will be when a coyote decides to attack a small child. There is a solution that many people will not like, but here goes. We have way too many deer in town. The damage and danger associated with them is simply not worth the risk. We have an active group of bow hunters. We have an abundance of deer and a shortage of meat at the food banks. We have slaughter plants that process wild game. Seems like a logical approach to put it all together. Now there will be a hue and cry from the animal lovers out there, but I expect if tragedy strikes and a child were to be mauled, that these same people will step up with financial support for the family for medical expenses. Or worse yet, that they will at least attend the funeral if a child were to be killed by a group of coyotes. Deer feeding stations may be an option, but it's not that simple. You or the town or whoever can't legally set up a feeding station without coordinating it with Manitoba Conservation, or so I have been told. It would seem like a simple idea to set out a hay bale away from town and replenish it once in a while. Keep the deer out of town and the coyotes with them. Simple ideas are tough to get government approval. In a country like Canada, we have plenty of deer and plenty of deer habitat. It's not as if the deer are actually rare or an endangered species. I say harvest them, and the sooner the better. And speaking of non-endangered species, farmers don't get near enough credit for all they do to preserve wildlife. Many species such as deer, elk, beaver, and many birds benefit from the habitat provided. intentionally or otherwise, by our farmers and the ranchers. From personal observation over a few decades, I certainly seem to be seeing more wildlife than I used to see. Big grain fields have provided feed for Canada geese and snow geese. There is a herd of elk not far from Neepawa, and bald eagles are common now. I know there are places where wildlife habitat is being downgraded or destroyed, but it doesn't seem to be in rural Manitoba. Well done, farmers. And I can kind of add to that. My friend and I that were walking the other day just about got ran down by 2 deer coming out of a back alley, and they were really moving. Changing the Tide, my perspective column by editor Kate Jackman Atkinson. The tide is turning, and I hope it's a sign of good things to come for rural businesses. After a decade of more and bigger, we are starting to see a real appreciation for small. I read an interesting article on smallbusiness.com called Top Small Town and Rural Small Business Trends for 2017. The post makes me excited for our businesses and the communities they serve. Post author Becky McCrae points to 3 macro trends that are reshaping retail and how they will impact small businesses. The first is redefining geographic limits. McCrae explains that a century's worth of developments have shortened the distance between small towns and big cities. She added that innovations such as advanced automation in manufacturing and processing, self-driving vehicles, delivery drones, 3D printing, and augmented and virtual reality will reshape the cost of moving goods and connecting them to people. Technological changes have already opened a lot of doors for small retailers. For example, rural residents can now work as part of the larger economy. This opens up more employment opportunities, making it easier for people to find jobs and live in rural communities, which is good news for area businesses. Technology has allowed rural businesses to sell far beyond their communities. Through websites or email lists, platforms such as Etsy, eBay, Amazon, or through social media, rural businesses can become less dependent on walk-in traffic from their own communities. The second trend is being driven by customers. The last 50 years saw the dramatic growth of big box stores and malls, but consumer demands are starting to shift. Big box retail chains have grown and grown to the point that we are seeing faltering financials, store closures, and corporate reorganization. Not only that, but consumers are becoming more alienated by the cold and impersonal shopping experience. McCrae points out that the shopping trends have diverged into 2 directions. The first is the infinite retailers. These are the companies that capture automatic reorders of generic or known products. But the second category finds shoppers wanting a shopping experience and a collection of curated products. This is the area in which small retailers shine. Not only is the service able to be more personal, but so too is the merchandise, which has been tailored to a store's customer base. The things that shoppers like about online shopping, such as consumer reviews and product recommendations, can often be offered in person at a small town store, giving shoppers added value. The final factor in an increasing interest in simpler, more rural lifestyles. Terms such as local and cozy are becoming buzzwords, and travel articles are advocating smaller towns as destinations. In a sterile and mass-produced environment, people are looking for comfort, simplicity, and something on a human scale. 2 years ago, chain store Age ran a story titled "Mom and Pops Are Cool Again." They noted that countrywide, the number of retailers with less than 500 employees began to show meaningful growth for the first time in 25 years. They also pointed to a survey from the previous year, which found that more than a quarter of consumers were shopping more at neighborhood stores than they were 3 years ago. Close to half of the respondents also said that local stores accounted for at least half of the shopping trips. At a time when even Amazon, the behemoth of online retailing, is opening brick and mortar stores, the pendulum for retail really seems to be shifting. Maybe we rural Manitobans are, in fact, trendsetters. And let's hope that's the case. On Rita Friesen's Homebodies column entitled Coffee Talk. We live in Manitoba, most of us by choice. Whenever folks meet the common ground, topic is our weather. Coffee talk, weather. One of my sisters has made her home in a warmer climate. Part-time Australia, part-time Thailand. Okay, not only warmer climate, but a much warmer climate. She chose it and loves her homes there. Our conversation frequently touches on the weather. She posts pictures of her, sunglasses, hat, light-colored clothing, with cute captions like, 37 degrees in the shade, no wonder I look a tad frazzled. I cheerfully reply, only minus 18 and no wind. Took the dogs for a long walk. We are different in many ways. My sister has friends all over the world and continues to follow life in Manitoba in pictorial form on Facebook. She asked me this week if Manitobans have become wimpy. All the posts about piles of snow and trenched lanes and shrouded windows. She and I grew up in rural Manitoba and recall distinctly long, cold, snow-covered winters. We reminisced about traveling from Graysville to Kane to visit grandparents and driving down a highway that was simply put a trench. The plows maintained a space wide enough for two vehicles, and you could not always see over the sides. We recalled the year the family Oldsmobile got stuck in the middle of the field road to the neighbors and remained there to the spring. Remember, field roads, shortest distance between two farms and smoother than the washboard roads. Our father drove the school bus that year, and like everyone else in the rural parts of our province, we got to school with real horsepower, 2 horses and a wooden van. Some had straw on the floor for some insulation, and many had a small wood stove at the front. Talk about safety, for it was not unusual for a van to slip off the track and land on its side. But I digress. Back to Manitoba's cold and snow. I pointed out that it was partially the timing of the storms that aggravated the people. One for Christmas, another for New Year's, and another one for good measure. I explained that the wonderful, long, open, mild fall had lulled us. Perhaps this was a new normal. Then I checked the stats. Winnipeg had the most snow in December since 1908. They received 80 centimeters in that month alone, with the average annual snowfall being 114 centimeters. Then I reflected on the fact that when we were kids, farm kids, our lifestyle was so very different. Yes, we had to shovel to get into the barn, and yes, we sat out 3-day blizzards, but no one was desperately trying to get out and get to a job. That came later. The long, cold winter, the winter of the big snow, it was just the way it was. Ah, said my sister, lifestyles and expectations have changed. And that is very true. And a letter from Brenda Ferguson indicating thank you to volunteers, and she's writing on behalf of the Neepawa Salvation Army. A big thank you to the many volunteers who gave up their time to support the Salvation Army in their fundraising efforts for the 2016 Christmas Kettle Campaign. They took turns ringing the bells for a total of 107 hours. With their help, we had another successful campaign with a total of approximately $5,600 being raised. All of these monies stay in Neepawa and help those in need at Christmas. I would also like to thank the businesses that allowed us to set up the kettles or a coin house. Your support is greatly appreciated. Bravo! I would like to thank your paper for your support of this campaign. Thank you to the community for your generous support in helping us to raise the most money that we have raised in recent years. And that is good to know. And holiday hampers were gathered for Gladstone and area as well. and the Gladstone Elks donated a total of 145 pounds of food to the Gladstone United Church hampers from their November-December food drive. Christmas hampers are provided to Gladstone, Plumas, Langruth, and area. And left to right, we have Guy Small of the Gladstone Elks and United Church Christmas Hamper Program, and Wayne Sanderson, who's standing beside the donations collected over the Christmas season. The Gladstone Elks and United Church would like to thank Gladstone Co-op Grocery for providing a drop-off point for the food drive, and to everyone who supported the food drive over the holiday season. And the co-op supports palliative care. Palliative care across the region has received some much-needed support. On Thursday, January the 5th, Neepawa Gladstone Co-op donated checks for $736 to Neepawa and area palliative care and 7 regions palliative care of Gladstone and area. Co-op Human Resources Manager Glenda Finkowich, who presented the checks, said the co-op always tries to be a good community partner in every community it's a part of. It means a lot to us and our employees to be able to show our support. The co-op employees were given several options of local groups to support, and palliative care in Neepawa and Gladstone were the top choices, stated Finkowich. Mary Ellen Clark of Neepawa and Area Palliative Care thanked the co-op and its employees for recognizing the urgent need for support. We rely on donation dollars because we are not covered by government funding or any other funding, but our services are recognized as being very valuable to our region. There's no doubt about that, but there's no money available to us and our program. So any donations like this are huge to help with the ongoing programs that we run in our communities, said Clark. It's great that Co-op has initiated this and that their employees have bought into this, because this money does stay local and looks after local families. 7 Regions Palliative Care of Gladstone and Area Coordinator of Volunteers, Joanne Beavington, echoed those sentiments. This type of support is absolutely invaluable, because we rely on donations. We don't receive any funding from government. It's all about fundraising and donations, so this is great, Bivington said. Palliative care involves the use of trained volunteers offering emotional support, comfort, and practical assistance to individuals and families living with a life-threatening or terminal illness to improve their quality of life. And that's a wonderful program. 2016 is a fatal year. It's been a fatal year on Manitoba highways. Manitoba Public Insurance is issuing a renewed call to road safety action for all road users in 2017 after recording the deadliest year on Manitoba highways in a decade. Based on preliminary data, in 2016 there were 101 fatal collisions on public roadways in Manitoba, which resulted in the deaths of 112 people. These numbers contrast with 69 collisions and 78 fatalities in 2015. 2016 was a tragic year for road fatalities in Manitoba, said Crown Services Minister Ron Schuler. Not since 2006 have we lost as many people in motor vehicle collisions, and our sincere condolences go out to the families and friends of the 112 Manitobans who lost their lives in roadway crashes. These terrible outcomes must serve as a reminder to all Manitobans to drive safely in 2017, said Schuler. According to Manitoba Public Insurance data, another 19 Manitobans lost their lives in snowmobile and all-terrain vehicle collisions in 2016. Although the full analysis of motor vehicle fatalities is not yet complete, preliminary data shows an alarming increase in impaired driving, distracted driving, speed, and not wearing seat belts as contributing factors in the fatal collisions recorded. To stay safe on our roads and not put other road users at risk, all drivers need to think about road safety every time they get behind the wheel, said Ward Keith. Vice President, Business Development and Communications, Manitoba Public Insurance. Buckling up all the time, driving to road and weather conditions, not driving when impaired by alcohol or drugs, or while distracted, these are all simple reminders that can help to prevent being involved in a collision. They can also literally make the difference between life and death, said Keith. In issuing the call to action for road safety in 2017, Manitoba Public Insurance encourages all drivers to model safe and responsible driving behaviors by following these simple safety tips. Have a plan before you head out for an evening of partying. Take a cab home or have a designated driver selected beforehand. If you must text or answer the phone, pull your vehicle over to a safe area. Texting while driving takes your eyes off the road and significantly increases the chance of being involved in a collision. Never get into a vehicle with a driver who has been drinking or consuming drugs. It could be the last thing you do. Speed kills. Be aware of the posted speed limit and drive to road and weather conditions. Buckle up every time, whether you're a driver or passenger, and no matter how short your trip is. It takes 1 second and could very well save your life. And we have an article titled Farmers Face Fear, Frustration Over Possibility of Spring Flooding. And some farmers from the Westlake Gladstone area are concerned about potential flooding in their fields come the spring. And that would be related to a dam at Big Grass Marsh. Farmers in the Westlake Gladstone region are looking forward to spring with trepidation and a sense of frustration over flooding that they fear will once again happen on their lands, thanks, some of them claim, to the Ducks Unlimited Dam at Big Grass Marsh. The permanent structure fixed crest steel weir dam replaced a gated dam which featured removable planks in 1999. The new dam doesn't allow variable control in the flow of the water, which frustrated some anonymous farmers to the extent that an illegal trench was dug around the structure in the autumn of 2015. It seems not much has changed in the mood of the people affected by excessive flooding on farmland, despite dialogue with Ducks Unlimited, the White Mud Watershed Conservation District, and the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. Aaron Schmidt farms in the area that's been affected by the flooding. He said as soon as the spring runoff starts, the ditches will be full of water, and soon after, so will the fields. You're basically left with evaporation as your only drainage, he explains. Everybody has got to run the water onto somebody else's ditches. We can't do anything with our water. Schmidt and 4 or 5 other farmers had a meeting with the local municipality recently and said most of the frustration that the farmers are feeling is aimed at the Big Grass Marsh Dam. They kind of stuck that structure in there, and it's not even adjustable, so we can't ever manage it. If the water level is too high, no one cares, he says. They should let the RM control the dam. Excuse me. Schmidt says, ideally, the province of Manitoba would evict Ducks Unlimited from the entire site and tear the dam down. That's what should be done, he proclaims. Before ducks used to exist, they also ruined all our hayland out there. There's 20 quarters of native hayland out there that's crown land and municipal land that you can't even use. Rick Andrews, manager of provincial operations for Ducks Unlimited, says the issue of excessive water around the area of the dam is complex and multifaceted. There's certainly been some above average precipitation over the last 10 years. A huge amount of rain, well above the normal, has occurred in that watershed season. The drainage ditches all run into that marsh. The Conservation District has many ditches and rains coming into that area. So when you do have a large amount of precipitation and very wet years, the water wants to get to the marsh. The flatness of the land and the narrow outlet downstream of the dam also makes the flooding worse, said Andrews. Neepawa Minor Hockey is very pleased with the tournament response. The Neepawa Minor Hockey Association is extremely pleased with the response to its annual Adam Tournament of Champions. The event, which spanned 21 games over 4 days at the Yellowhead Center, featured 10 teams from across the province. Along with the host team from Neepawa, there were also clubs from Boissevain, Carberry, Carman, Dauphin, Grand Plains, Hartney, Reston, Portage-la-Prairie, Shoal Lake, Birtle, and Souris. Once the weekend was complete, it would be the Boissevain Border Kings who left town with the championship banner. The Kings claimed the top prize with an impressive 8-0 win over the Carman Cougars in the A-side final on Sunday, January the 8th. Although Neepawa was not in the championship game, the team still had a strong showing, winning the B-side final with a 7-5 decision over the Carberry Plainsmen. After the weekend concluded, Neepawa Minor Hockey rep Yvonne Doble noted that the feedback they received from visiting teams and families was very positive. It was very successful. This tournament is one of the biggest events of the year for Neepawa Minor Hockey, from both a fundraising and organizational perspective, said Doble. An event like this is a great boost for our community. A lot of families came to Neepawa from across the province, and they had a lot of positive things to say about the weekend and the way everything was organized. Doble added that the weekend couldn't have been nearly as successful as it was without all the efforts that were put forward by the volunteers. All the parents who were involved with Neepawa Minor Hockey put in time volunteering in one way or another, stated Doble. Everyone on the executive, Neepawa Minor Hockey, is so thankful for that support. And the Neepawa Adam Natives results. Thursday, January 5th, Neepawa 4-2 over Dauphin. Neepawa goals, Tarek Lapointe, Addison McIntosh, 2, and Ryland Bray. On Friday, January 6th, Neepawa 6-1 over Grand Plains. Neepawa goals, Ryland Bray, Addison McIntosh, Keegan Airy, and Tarek Lapointe. Saturday, January the 7th, quarterfinal, Neepawa 14-1 over Hartney Reston. Neepawa goals, Riley Davey, 4, Keegan Airy, 3, Ryland Bray, 3, Tarek Lapointe, Cohen Kobaki, Trent Tomanico, and Addison McIntosh. Saturday, January 7th, semifinal, Boissevain 12-2 over Neepawa. Neepawa goals, Addison McIntosh, 2. Sunday, January the 8th, B-side final, Neepawa 7-5 over Carberry. Neepawa goals, Tarek Lapointe, Riley Davey, Ryland Bray, Keegan Airy, 2, Lincoln Murray, and Addison McIntosh. Carberry goals, Nolan Saunderson, 2, Nate Robson, 3. Sunday, January the 8th, the A-side final, Boissevain 8-0 over Carman. And that would be the results for the Natives. And we have a picture here of the Neepawa Natives after winning the B-side final, and the bottom picture of the Boissevain Border Kings celebrating after winning the A-side final. And Tiger Hills Hockey League recap. We won't go over this too much, but with only a few weeks left in the Tiger Hills Hockey League regular season, one division has a clear leader while the other remains gridlocked. The Killarney Shamrocks remain the top team in the West Division, and their most recent win, a dominant 15-6 performance against the Gladstone Lakers on Saturday, January 7th. And Neepawa outlasts Pilot Mound. The first game of 2017 was a solid one for the Neepawa Farmers. They defeated the Pilot Mound Pilots 7-5. And the Minnedosa Bombers picked up a statement victory over the Boys Vane Border Kings. And some of the good bowling scores: men's high single and triple, Jim King, 289 and 731 triple. Ladies high single, Marge Fisher, 229. Ladies high triple, Marge Fisher and Bev Chapsky, 504. And the Arden Men's Bonspiel was held on January the 6th to the 8th. Winners of the first event were Kevin Paramore, Ron Kabacki, Hans Peterson, and Harvey Hankey. Winners of the second event, James Paramore, Jack Kabacki, Dennis Orton, and Brent Osborne. And the third event winners were Morley Walker, Tyler Grumpelt, Bryce Kissick, and Tyson Walker. And the obituaries: Lawrence Florence Dorothy Watts, July 15, 1921, to December the 5th, 2016. Laura Watts of Riding Mountain, Manitoba, passed away on December 6, 2016, at Neepawa Hospital at the age of 95 years. She was born on July 5, 1921, in Oberon, Manitoba, to parents Mr. and Mrs. William Alexander, and lived most of her life in the Oberon area. Laura loved hockey and curling. On April 29, 1943, she married Dell Watts. Dell served in the armed forces until 1946, then farmed until he passed away in 1971. Laura then worked at the Osborne Senior Citizens Home from 1972 until she retired in 1984. She lived in her home until she married Gordon Lewandowski on May 29, 1999, when they bought a home in Riding Mountain. Laura loved her pets, flowers, and traveling. Laura was predeceased by her first husband, 3 brothers, twins Percy and Glenn, Forrest, and sister Merle Chisholm. Surviving her are husband Gordon Lewandowski, 6 nieces and 3 nephews and their families. We thank friends and neighbors, Neepawa Hospital, Dr. Ong and nurses, White's Funeral Home, Rita Friesen, and the United Church Ladies for the lovely lunch. We thank everyone for your kindness and support, and also for donations made to Palliative Care, Alzheimer's Society, and the Riding Mountain Curling Club. Funeral services were held on Tuesday, December 13th at 11 a.m. at the White's Funeral Home, with Rita Friesen officiating. Interment followed at the Neepawa Cemetery. Laura Louise Strachan passed away on December 30th, 2016 at the Seven Regions Health Center at the age of 101 years. Laura was born on June 9, 1915, and raised at Shoal Lake, Manitoba. She married Reginald Rex Hadland, a grain elevator agent, in 1937. In 1938, she had a daughter, Gail, and in 1940, a son, Gary. The family lived in various small towns throughout central Manitoba. Laura and Rex moved to Neepawa in 1959. She remained there after Rex's passing in 1966, where she was a dental assistant until 1976. She married Jock Strachan and moved to West Bank, BC. She remained in her home after Jock's passing in 2008 until October 2016, when she moved closer to her daughter and son. Laura was a member of the Order of the Eastern Star for 68 years. She was an avid curler, and when unable to curl, watched every game she could on TV. She loved watching a good baseball game, too. She loved trailering throughout Canada and the States. She loved gardening and did so until 100 years of age. Her love of family was very strong. She cherished every moment with us all in her stories, pictures, and memories. She was predeceased by her parents, 2 sisters and 4 brothers, 2 loving husbands, Rex and Jock. She is survived by her daughter, Gail Gertson, son Gary Hadlin, Jackie, stepsons Mo Strachan, Elaine, Todd Strachan, Jackie, and Pat Strachan, Myra. Many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Sister Muriel Kirby of Calgary, and numerous nieces and nephews. A come-and-go tea will be held at Centennial Apartments on Friday, January the 6th, from 2 to 4 p.m. Interment will take place at a later date at Shoal Lake Cemetery. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to a charity of one's choice. Roman Symbolist, October 14, 1913, to December 30th, 2016. It is with heavy hearts we announce the passing of our dear dad at Neepawa Hospital at the age of 103. God granted Dad his wish to be with Mom. Roman is survived by his 3 daughters, Judy Rempel, Abe, Donna Symbolist, and Kathy Honcherik, Sam. He was a proud and loving grandpa to Jerry, Andrea, John, Haley, Dan, and Todd, Kara, and great-grandpa to Tallis and Brooklyn. He will also be remembered by sister-in-law Annie Dobchuk and many nieces and nephews. Dad was predeceased by his parents Timothy and Marushka Symbolist, and his 3 siblings, John, Mary, and Willie. Dad was born in White Russia and immigrated to Canada in 1929, attending school in Tenby. On November 15, 1941, Mom and Dad were married. They took up residence and farmed the BNR Ranch. In November 1947, fire destroyed the home, and the following year they bought a farm west of Plumas, and there they raised their 3 daughters. In 2000, they left the farm in Plumas and moved to the Legion Apartments in Gladstone. After Mom's passing in 2010, Dad remained in the Legion Apartments until November 2011, at which time he moved into the 3rd Crossing Manor. Dad had a great love for farming for over 40 years. With only a grade 2 education, he proved to be a very wise and successful farmer. He could be heard singing and whistling for many miles while on his machinery. In later years, he helped out with the garden. He was a handyman and could do just about anything, including weaving beautiful willow baskets. In later years, when farming became easier, Mom and Dad did a lot of traveling to England, Russia, Florida, Broughton Island, Northwest Territories, Maritimes, and on many U.S. bus tours. Dad became an avid golfer after having his first game in Florida in November 1968 at age 55. His last game was at the ripe old age of 97 years. His claim to fame on the golf course was his eagle on hole number 5 in Gladstone. He was a lifetime member at the Gladstone Golf Course, enjoyed bowling for many years, and was a member of the Plumas Curling Club. He skipped his rink to many Bonspiel championships. He helped to build the skating and curling rinks, as well as the Plumas United Church. Dad was always there for us girls at many activities, including softball tournaments. He would pitch balls to us for hours, hoping to improve our batting skills. Dad would not farm on Sundays except for combining season. We would be at sports days or picnicking at Lake Manitoba, Neepawa Park, and Clear Lake. And oh yes, he always enjoyed a shot in the arm until his last day. The family would like to thank the staff at 3rd Crossing Manor for their patience and wonderful care over the past 5 years. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the Plumas United Church, Plumas, or Gladstone Golf Course, Big Grass Community Foundation, Gladstone. Cremation has taken place, and a celebration of life will take place on April 29, 2017, in the Plumas United Church. Luella McMillan. Luella McMillan passed away on January the 2nd, 2017, at the age of 103 at the McCreary Personal Care Home, with friends by her side. Luella Ellis was born August the 7th, 1913 in Kenora, Ontario, to Bill and Annie Acker. Luella had 3 sisters, Stella Fern, Dorothy, and one brother, George. nephew Jack, Darlene, niece. Luella married Charles Robert McMillan on May 8, 1938. Edith, Luella's best friend, was her bridesmaid. Irene Glover was also a good friend to Luella. Luella and Charlie had one son, Alan McMillan, Marlene Rosalie, who resided in McCreary. Luella and Charlie had 3 grandchildren, Danny, Judy, Karen, and Angie, Jason. Great-grandchildren, Joel, Ashley, Danielle, Clayton, Alexa, Ashley, Brandon, Cassandra, Christina, and 12 great-great-grandchildren. Luella always welcomed visitors for tea and loved her cookies. Luella loved the farm and her garden. She talked about driving up the treacherous Riding Mountain Road to see her Charlie, no matter what the weather was like, as he worked for 12 years at the park. Luella loved to have her hair done and always made sure that apple cider vinegar was used to rinse her hair after, her secret to beautiful hair. Luella loved going to church and was actively involved in the North Gate Choir and United Church in McCreary. Luella fondly remembered Charlie saying, regarding moving away from their beloved homestead on the farm, that if they moved to Neepawa, Charlie would be the boss, and if they moved into McCreary, Luella would be the boss. Luella and Charles had many good friends and family who would come visit the farm. Luella and Charles moved to the former Rehall home in McCreary to enjoy their retirement. Luella's favorite sayings were, "Oh, fiddlesticks," and "piffle." She had a lovely, kind, compassionate, caring heart. Darlene fondly remembers Luella's love of reading and the recent conversation just days before her passing, that Luella reminisced how one time when Charlie was away, she read 12 books all at once. "Love books," she shyly told Darlene. Luella loved to crochet and sew in her younger years. Luella's lifelong partner, Charlie, left her side in 1992. Luella continued to live in McCreary until she moved into the personal care home. Luella was very grateful for the many visitors and friends and staff at the personal care home who tended to her so diligently. It has been a blessing for our families to spend time with Luella and our fond memories of McCreary. Luella passed away at the age of 103 at the McCreary Personal Care Home with friends by her side. Luella, in God's memory, you are now. Love your family and friends. Funeral services were held on Friday, January the 6th, from Knox United Church in McCreary, with Norma Windle officiating. Interment followed in McCreary Municipal Cemetery. Pallbearers were Eric Glover, Bill Glover, Dan Richards, Don Kreiser, Martin McLaughlin, and Claude Bonifay. We're just going through this for the first time today, of course, because we just got the proofs. The Business Builder Program has been established in Minnedosa. The Minnedosa Area Community Development Corporation and the Minnedosa Credit Union have teamed up to create a more welcoming environment for the launch of small business in the region. The Business Builder Loan Program is expected to help aspiring entrepreneurs with some additional startup funding to help open their new business or generate growth for their established enterprise. While often the efforts of economic development agencies in rural areas focus on investment attraction of large industry, small business is recognized as the backbone of the Canadian economy and comprises 98% of enterprise in this country. To qualify for the program and be eligible for a business loan of up to $5,000, applicants must be Manitoba residents and proposing a business to be physically situated within a 30-kilometer radius of Minnedosa. In the case of an existing business owner applying for financing to facilitate expansion or diversification into a new product or service area, they may only have been in business for up to 3 years to maintain eligibility. The loans offer terms of 18 months, interest-free, with 6% fixed interest rate after that time frame. Borrowers are allowed for the first 6 months without making payments on a 48-month term with no penalty for early prepayment. We are encouraged by the support of the Minnedosa Credit Union to support entrepreneurship and to allow the Minnedosa area CDC to better support proposed startups in the community, says Vern May, Economic Development Officer. We are excited to see what new ideas come forward from interested local entrepreneurs through this program. For more information about the program or to make an application, contact the Minnedosa Area Community Development Corporation. And I think we pretty well completed it now. We do have a little article here on Manitoba Ag Days, which is building on 40 years of success. And they have a nice little photo here showing different booths that are presently being part of Manitoba Ag Days. And they have visitors and exhibitors from across Canada and the United States. It's an annual thing, and I think it's a very exciting thing. The City of Brandon is looking very much ahead to the 40th anniversary of the Manitoba Ag Days, going so far as to officially proclaim January 17th to the 19th as Manitoba Ag Days. But it's not just Brandonites that are gearing up for the big event. People from all over the province, the country, and even the United States will be flocking to the Keystone Center to take part in the historic event, including over 550 exhibitors and 60 speakers, including CBC's Terry O'Reilly, the Little Potato Company's Angela Santiago, Oil World's Thomas Milkey, World Weather Inc.'s Drew Lerner, and more. In addition, 17 new products will be marketed at the show this year, all revolving around the theme agriculture, think global, act local. 40 years ago, the show started out as a one-room weed fair, and it's grown into the nation's largest indoor farm show, taking place in over 19,000 square feet of space. Andrea Guthrie, Manitoba Ag Days media coordinator, says the show is expected to attract upwards of 45,000 people. It's certainly been a busy year for our general manager and her support staff, Guthrie explains. We start planning for the next show as soon as the current show ends. So as soon as last January's show ended, we started planning for this. It's been a big task. To celebrate the 40th anniversary of the show, some special events have been planned, including a contest where exhibitors display old-fashioned items in their booths, with the top 3 winners set to receive a cash prize of $1,000, $500, and $250 respectively. They can also choose to donate their winnings to a local charity, in which case Manitoba Ag Days has promised to match their contributions. We are also encouraging every patron to wear something nostalgic to the show, Guthrie enthuses. We will be handing out prizes to every patron we see participating in this year's celebration. So be sure to dig through those closets ahead of time. Another new aspect of this year's show will be a farm safety feature competition, where exhibitors are challenged to highlight a farm safety message in their booth. Guthrie says farm safety is of utmost importance to Manitoba Ag Days, which is why they've worked with the Canadian Agricultural Safety Association to unveil their new grain entrapment suffocation demo trailer, which Manitoba Ag Days provided the funding for. We used to have a safety area, and this is the first year where we've expanded that, Guthrie notes. We wanted all our exhibitors to get involved in the safety message, so it's important in our lives. Regular favorite attractions will be at the show again this year, including the Bull Congress, where visitors will get to meet the producers and bulls. The Investors Showcase will be highlighting 17 new inventions from many different companies. Guthrie says she hopes that Manitoba Ag Day showcases the real value agriculture brings to people all over the world. Agriculture is such a big part of Manitoba and the prairie provinces. We're not exactly close to each other, but it's a small, tight network of people. And certainly to kick off the year with a show is important, and to celebrate our success and the importance of agriculture. It's important not just to those involved, but to the general public to convey our message. Guthrie says that everyone involved with Ag Days is excited, not just about the big 40th anniversary celebration, but to see how the event will grow and change over the next 40 years and beyond. We hope to continue to have the largest indoor agricultural show that kicks off the agriculture year here in Brandon. Who knows where we will be in 40 years, but certainly we change the show to what is happening in the industry and what our patrons and exhibitors want. The show will include a 50-50 draw and a bonus draw for a trip to Las Vegas, an annual breakfast kickoff at the Canadians Roadhouse on January 17th, starting at 7:30 a.m., and a social on January 18th at Houston's Country Roadhouse. And that will be just an excellent event for anybody to attend, and they have a really nice picture here of one of the enormous big tractors that will be on display at the Ag Days. So I encourage anybody that can go and can get over there to take some time and see what they've come up with over there. And that is the banner for this date, and I hope you all enjoyed listening. We'll be back next week, and till then, stay warm. Thank you.